just going to let Ellen introduce herself. She knows herself really well, so we'll go forward with that, and I'm going to turn the time over to you, Ellen. Thank you.
Actually, good morning. Actually, it's afternoon, and it's probably nighttime for me. I am going to introduce myself the way that my son introduced me when he was in second grade for career day. Doug got up in front of his class and said, "My mommy, well, she feeds hungry children." And then he thought and he said, "Well, you know, she doesn't actually feed them. She works with other people who feed children," and he's trying really hard to describe what I do, and he's just floundering up there, and finally he just said in total exasperation, "My mommy tells Congress what to do." So I kind of like that, so I'm going to stick with that one. My name is Ellen Teller. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Food Research and Action Center. We are based in Washington, D.C. I've been with FRAC 24 years. I started out as a legal services attorney helping clients get onto the food stamp program and working with legal services attorneys across the country, and then realized that lobbying the Congress was a great way to get massive changes implemented in the nutrition programs, and I never looked back to the law library after that. So what I wanted to talk to you today about is what Congress is taking up right now, and that is the reauthorization of the child nutrition programs. And when I say reauthorization, what it means is that every 5 years, Congress literally opens the book on all the different child nutrition programs and figures out how to change them in order to make them more effective and make sure they reach the intended recipients. So we're going to go to the next slide. This is a favorite of mine. When you ask people, when did Congress start the school lunch program, most people say 1960s. And it was not in the 1960s, it was after World War II, after recruits were showing up malnourished and failing their physicals, that Congress, as a measure of national security to safeguard the health and well-being of the nation's children, established the National School Lunch Program. And just this week, there was a group of generals and admirals who got together in Washington, D.C. It's an organization called Mission Readiness. And they declared that most of our recruits are failing their physicals, not because they're malnourished, but because they're either obese or suffering from type 2 diabetes or other ailments that are related to childhood obesity. So it's how things have changed. These are some food insecurity statistics. Food insecurity is not a measurement of individuals, but by households. This is not anything that you all probably don't already know. This is in your packet. Food hardship is based on Gallup polling results that my organization acquired. And what I have up there, which is in your packet, is a listing of food hardship in Arizona by congressional district. And this was the first time that we were able to amass anything by congressional district. And this is a very useful tool when you're talking to your members of Congress and trying to explain to them how important it is in investing in nutrition programs for children. We were delighted to participate in discussions with the Obama and Biden team when they were running for president and vice president on putting out a goal of eliminating child hunger by 2015. And this is what the team came up with in 2008. And I'm not wearing it. I usually wear a bright red button that says 2015 because we want to hold this administration's feet to the fire in accomplishing that goal. This means Next slide. It's not a baseball kind of move here. These are the different programs that Congress is going to be looking at in this reauthorization. We like to say that the programs feed children in preschool, and that's child care settings, in school-based settings, and in out-of-school time settings. And out-of-school time settings could be after school, weekends, and during the summer months when school is out. In Congress, it's kind of weird. Some of you have tracked the Farm Bill, especially the nutrition title. The Farm Bill is in the House Agriculture Committee and the Senate Agriculture Committee. With child nutrition, it's a little different. We're still in the Senate Ag Committee, but we're in the House Education and Labor Committee, which is a different committee. And those are the committees that are going to look at changing these laws. What is equally or even more important are the committees that are going to fund the improvements we want to make, and that's the House Ways and Means Committee and the Finance Committee in Congress. Most people ask me, so what's the timetable for action? We were supposed to be reauthorized last year, but Congress didn't get to it, so they continued to have the programs operate for an additional year. We're in that year now. On March 24th, the Senate Agriculture Committee marked up. It drafted legislation and passed it. You'll see in one of the next slides that the President committed $1 billion a year over 10 years in new money, what we call above baseline, for improvements and expansions in the child nutrition programs. In Senator Blanche Lincoln's Ag Committee bill, she found $4.5 billion over 10 years for program improvements and expansions. And so what we're hoping is that's all she could squeeze out of her committee. But we're hoping that the Finance Committee, which is the Taxing and Resource Committee, will be able to add to her pot before the bill goes to the Senate floor. So this is the timing. Congress is going to be adjourning the first week in October because every member of the House is up for re-election and they want to go home and campaign. So if we work backwards, we know that really by the July 4th recess, we have to have the basic bills out of the House and Senate so they can conference and work out the details over the course of the summer. 2 years ago, when we started organizing for the child nutrition reauthorization, we were told by staff on the Hill, the best thing you can do for us is get all the different communities together and come up with a common set of principles to guide the reauthorization effort. Because if you're a member of Congress, the last thing you want to do is get involved in a reauthorization effort only to find out that what you think is going to be good, this group opposes or that group opposes. So you really want to get everybody under the same tent and agree on common principles. And we started out 2 years ago, and this is FRAC and the School Nutrition Association, bringing all the different groups together, saying, okay, what are the 3 things we want to do for child nutrition reauthorization? And they were expand access and participation in all the programs. 2, to improve the nutritional quality of the meals and snacks that are served. And 3, and for those of you who operate the programs, this will be the heart of what you want to see, and that is make these programs easier to administer. If I'm running after-school snacks through the Child and Adult Care Feeding Program, during the summer I'm running summer feeding, don't make me run all these different programs. Just make it seamless and let me run the programs year-round, through the weekends, after school, make it easier. And this is the 3 things, and the underlying foundation for all of this is every single one of those 3 principles carries what Congress calls a score. And that means every time you want to change a law, the Congressional Budget Office figures out how many more federal dollars